Right now, this property is in the middle of a remodel, which is a very high demand area when it comes to flipping or in investing. So you want to stay tuned why this would be a perfect example, why you need to be aware of what is close to Texas A&M and opportunities that you could either buy or remodel. Let's check it out. Welcome back to my channel. Living and Investing in Bryan-College Station. So if you're new to my channel, we do on the living and investing, and we have a beautiful example of both in this one we're looking at. So we're looking at 1205 Thompson. The beautiful thing I do love about this house is the area. Now this is located near downtown Bryan. So about a couple blocks away. So downtown Bryan have done a lot to continue to not only give back to the community, but continue to put a lot of amenities and accessories when it comes to restaurants, when it comes to businesses, when it comes to just newer developments in this area. And so this home and the location of it has a lot of growth in the city of Bryan, as I think we're trying to catch up with the College Station side. Every year, thousands of students and alumni are looking for campus properties a mile away from Texas A&M. So if you are looking for something, this is going to be a gold mine, whether it's for the rental demand or long-term appreciation. So what we're going to do is take a look at this property as we're going through the remodeling phase. And what are the things you need to focus on if you're going to buy, or if you're going to buy, you're going to say, what are the things you're going to expect? So we've taken a good inventory of the properties in this area on why they have sold and why they have rented, and we're going to just show you where we're at in the process. So let's take a look at this property. The first thing is you always want to look at is at the foundation. You can update the foundation, that's very key. So this kitchen here, we end up closing off this door over here, and we are going to build brand new stairs. So when you walk in here, you will be able to have a brand new look and parking area. I think one of the cool things I do like about is the deck that we end up replacing. So this deck here still has some cleanup that needs to be done, but this whole deck, if you could be able to see a picture, and I'll make sure we throw it up, is that all this deck was open and it was exposed. And so the cool thing I've learned about anytime you want to be able to do a remodel is this. If you fix everything correctly and get the proper people to get it done, that's one of the biggest challenge for anybody who's an investor. So as an investor, you may say, how do I know how much this is going to cost? How do I know who will do the work? How can I make sure I don't run into any hiccups? And if you can imagine, that question is going to be on your mind regardless of each opportunity you have. And so as we have overcome those hurdles, I'm excited to be able to show you what the end product of this is going to look like. But for now, I'm going to end with a little bit of encouragement. So if you're somebody who say you've seen this and you want to be able to identify these opportunities for yourself, I want you to make sure you join our school community. This is Cash Flow Friday. Every Friday, we're doing a deep dive on how to locate properties like this, what are some of the hiccups that you probably will come and how to overcome them, and then also how to find funding. And especially if you're the person that just say, I just want the final results, or maybe you're a kid and you want your mom and dad to be able to help you find and fund opportunities like this. Cash Flow Friday and our school program will be the best for you because we take deep dives to answer some of the questions that you specifically have. I say me and my wife started buying investment properties in Arkansas, and we got up to 20 doors, and we decided that we want to relocate to Texas. And so that's how living and investing in Bryan-College Station came into play. But I have always been an investor agent. From Arkansas to Texas, number one, cost of living is different, right? The biggest thing that I've seen as a challenge for us is just building up, right? And although we had the cash flow, one thing that I learned from that is you never want to over leverage. So over leveraging means if I have a property and let's just say that the property has some equity in it and I leverage that other property, and when I leverage enough and then I start getting a line of credit, well, one of the things that I've learned is that you build your investment portfolio, building your identity around your success, it creates almost an attachment. And when you're so attached to the success you've had, then you prolong what could actually be because you're trying to hold on to what was. Make sure you continue to stick to a budget. As an entrepreneur, you take risks, you take chances, and I'm not mad at the decisions that I made, but I'm also have learned, and this has allowed me to reposition myself and build a new strategy. As we slowly start to sell our properties, I need to start realizing and investing in my mindset. I had to start investing in my business, building up this online presence that I have now, and all to show like, hey, these are the choices that I'm gonna make better when we go by. And one of the stories that I greatly appreciate is someone who sees all the insides of where we're at is we are having to take a step step back before we can move forward. And building a sales team, building my sales in a new area, like it takes time, energy, and effort to do something well. And we learn that from the property. So we learn a lot of good lessons when we invest in these properties, but things we would do differently. Now we have 4 properties. And to be honest, we may at some point decide to get rid of some of those. In the city of Bryan, they have several access to grants and programs where you as an investor or maybe as a homeowner can take advantage of these opportunities if you act soon. Today, what I really want to highlight is the investment side. So as you've seen this lot behind me, where you can be able to build a house minimum $200,000. Now, this lot, I want to make sure you stop and pay attention to the opportunity here. A lot of lots that look just like this, maybe in your town, has things around it that you need to be mindful of. So when you look at lots that are trash like this, as an investor, one of the things you need to pick up on is, well, hey, what's going on around the area? Now, the city of Bryan have this long document. In one of my other videos that I highlighted, it was called House Hacking. I encourage you to probably go watch that because it's talk about some of the things in downtown Bryan that's going on now. But that plan has a lot to do with why this lot has the value, and over time it's going to rise in value. Now, the thing that I've noticed is when you're dealing with the city and you want to build something, you have permitting, you have rezoning if you need to do that, but you also need to understand what are the classifications on this lot and what are the things that you need to do to make sure, hey, I'm going to get a good return on my investment. So not only one do I want to make sure you see the things that's going on, but at the end, I'm going to go at my desk and I'm going to show you what are the things you need to be mindful of when it comes to investing here in the Bryan-College Station area. Okay, so right now, this is a corner lot, but if you see right across the street, you see here's a new construction house, and even just a block over, it's up to 5 different houses that are brand new. Now, as a investor or even me as a realtor, having access to, hey, what are those houses sold for? And what can I be able to build? What you need to be mindful of is, as a investor, you need to ask for one question. What is my price per square footage I can build? And what's my price per square footage I can sell? Now, your price per square footage on what you build for is gonna say, hey, how much I have in the lot, how much I have in the permitting, building the foundation, framing, sheetrock, roof, everything that goes in, even clearing out the lot. That's super important because that cost, and then you say, hey, well, if things are selling for this amount, how do I know I'm going to have the value that's going to be helpful for me to make a good decision? And this process is very important. So those are the key things is, number one, always make sure you have your price per square footage on what it takes to build, and then what is your price per square footage when it comes to sell. Now, maybe you don't want to flip it, you want to hold on to it, but you want to make sure this is going to be a good purchase because your all-in cost is super important to take mind of. So here in a second, you can kind of see all through the neighborhood as you look at this drone shot is houses that has built, and even over the last 3 to 5 years, these houses, it gives you a great comp to show you that it's a lot of opportunity moving forward in this area. So as an investor, these are like really, really good things to take mind of. So we're gonna ride around and maybe just take a look at some of the blocks and see what they look like. Take a look at the drone, and then I think pretty much from there, we'll wrap it up. Or maybe I have some extra tips for you here in a second. So when it comes to, if you're not in this area, what you need to still follow is the same process in looking at land, the price per square footage. And how you find this is generally you have a subcontractor, you have a realtor like myself who knows the area enough to give you basic pricing so you can know whether it's a good deal or not. And you want to, really be committed to that person, because as you build a team, if you want to get 2 investments, 3 investments, 5, maybe 10, up to 20, you need to make sure you build a core team of realtor, your broker, or even your subcontractors, because you want to be able to maybe work that cost down. So if you're not in the area, that's perfectly fine, but that's going to be the starting metric for you if you want to say, hey, is this going to be a good piece of land? And also, what can I build it for so I can get the max amount of dollars? Now, I talked about price per square footage, what you want to buy, and also what it will sell for. But when you're looking at land, you need to also ask the question, hey, how much should I buy this piece of land for? Now, real interesting fact, if you're somebody who wants to learn more about this when it comes to cash flow and making sure this will be a cash flowing property, if you're looking at an investment, one of the things we teach in our Cash Flow Fridays, like literally, hey, Jabari, what's the address to this? How much can I buy this for? And how would us and your team be able to show you how to do that? We can get into the details of that if that's a good fit for you, but if not, let's just give you all the details I can right now when it comes to this lot. So most of the lots in this area, you can be able to buy for anywhere from $40,000 up to maybe $65,000. Now, give or take, depending on the lot size, like this here is a little bit under 0.3 acres of a lot. So in the city of Bryan, you need the minimum of 5,000 square feet, and that means a frontage of 50 feet, because when you get into some of the zoning requirements to be able to build a home, you need to make sure it meets that minimum. And you can be able to get anywhere from 1,300, maybe 1,200 to 1,300 square foot house. But when we're looking at these houses around here, you can be able to see, hey, these houses that was 1,200, 1,300, they sold for this much. And that gives you what is called your price per square footage for what the houses sell for. That one gives you your value, but also it gives you, if you're gonna know this is gonna get you a good return on your money. So when you look at the lots, that price is considered in your price per square footage, okay? So if you're looking in a Bryan and you wanna say, hey, Jabari, if you can find me a lot that looks like this, or if we can be able to work specifically to make sure I'm buying it at a good cost and I can be all in at around X amount, whether it's 30, 40, 50, then let me know. But also, I really encourage you to join our Cash Flow Friday, because this lot right here, we was able to get for $13,000. I used to live in a small town before, and their development and their website sometimes is not 100% accurate. So, and it just means like if they have updates, most of these cities, unless you're in a big metropolitan area like Houston or Dallas, they struggle with keeping up with technology. Sometimes it's just software, sometimes it's just data. So all that to say is when you're looking with your local area and trying to find out, hey, what's the plans for this area? Definitely, that's why the value of having somebody in the area, build relationships, so that those relationships can give you more insight, intel than what's online. So just a forewarning, if you're dealing with me, obviously I'll be able to give you more insight, but also what I'm going to show you on the screen today is going to show you what you can look up, but sometimes what you can see is sometimes more advanced than what you can see online. So we were downtown Bryan first. And the thing I love about what they're doing here is it's a lot of new facilities going on now. I love City of Bryan because they do a great job at, updating. So this is here in July, we're in 2025, but this year is in July 16, 24, when they have some updates. Now Legend Events, have a lot of different tournaments that they're hosting in the summer. So you can see, and right now we're at the end of February going into March. So a lot of this is going to be coming, and you're going to see people coming here and be like, man, what's going on in Bryan? This is where a lot of people can find out about that. City of Bryan has done a good job at providing, a long-term planning. And some of the areas in Bryan is going to be here saying, hey, here are some of the things that we want to improve. Some of these streets may look familiar with you guys as well. So you can go there, click on these links. But this Midtown area plan, I had referenced once before, like I said, one of our past videos. Next is just go over here and look at the database, or what's called the MLS. Now the MLS is going to show you, hey, these are houses that actually sold. So when we were doing those drone overviews, this was one of the houses specifically that had sold. So you can look it up yourself. It's 1007 Dell Street. Now we have access. Texas is a non-disclosure state. So what that means is you cannot really ever know what someone actually sell for. So when we are doing investments or when we're doing listings, we have this intel. This is one of these services that as a real estate team leader that we have, that we can make sure we make good decisions off of your investments, because what the market has done in the past can give you a forecast on what you should be doing. So this house right here is 1,300 square feet, 5,000 lot size. So that's very important. You see it says 5,001 because it's really minimum 5,000 square feet in the city of Bryan that you can be able to build a 3-2 house. Now this is a new development, as I talked about, it was built in 22. Now this is the listed price at 229. This number here is also that number I was telling you about when it was the average sales price in regards to square footage. Remember, I was telling you about, hey, what's your cost and then will it sell for? This is that number, okay? Now, granted, you can look at the houses and you can say, all right, man, this is a brand new house. They had certain finishes. We can get into those details later, but not many photos on there. So we'll even go back to show you. You'll see now over here it says S, and then it also says A as far as some of the houses that actually sold. So right now it's pretty simple. So we'll put in the address. So now one of the things is I want to be able to pull this on Google, because most of the time people, when they're looking at things, if we send them a property through our database, when you log in, I want to make sure you have that. This is a manual entry, so that's why it says manually enter only. So let's just use a go ahead and use this property here. So view property, and then we can get the address. So we'll put copy and paste that over. And so here's another thing. So we're working on an API tool. It'll pull data from Remodeling, and that's helpful because you can get actual rents for the area. Because if you're not used to the area, that's the beautiful thing about this. Regardless of where you're at, you can be able to go and use this. So that's the beauty of this calculator. Like I always had to set up an account, had to pay for it, and like all this is just going to be like a free download. So it just gives you a better understanding on how to evaluate deals. That's fine. So I don't have the AP calculator, so we're gonna go down, and so we'll go. So the sales price is $254. Now it's a couple couple of different strategies that you can go in and think about this. Now, let's say the improvements. Now, I know this house don't need don't need really anything, but let's just say you just wanted to use, you want to use $5,000, or you wanted to get $5,000. Okay, this unit has 6 bedrooms, 4 baths, and so what we has averaged this to be is, because it's the front and the back unit, you can get anywhere from 5,500 to 61 to 6,200. It really depends on the time of the year, because football season is the peak if you go on short-term rental, and understanding it's a mid-term rental type of market here, meaning if you're a construction worker, or you're a roofer, or you're somebody who's coming like a doctor or a traveling nurse, those people need to be able to stay for about 2 to 3 months, right? So anyways, you can have somebody stay in the back and you can stay in the front. So you very, very unique setup. All right, so I'm just go ahead and put 6,100. Now this is the thing, I'm curious, how to be able to pull this in, and this is, I think, one of the things that halted me, because we can pull so if I was to go to Brazos County, Texas, and so you can go here and search it, but this is one of the things I want to find a way to actually get this built in if I can. If I can't, that's fine too. So all this is public record, so you can be able to see, hey, this is 6692, and so what I'll just do is 6692 divided by 12, so 558. And so the cool thing about this is that it actually helps you get familiar with the taxes, what normal insurance is going to be, because when you're cash flowing a property, to be honest with you, banks are never really going to ask you for this. They just is going to assume you're going to pay your taxes and insurance alone when you're looking at an investment property. So keep that in mind. All right, so for insurance, I don't have a quote on none of that, so I'm just going to say let's just say 150 for now. Use exactly what they have in there. Bam. Now today's interest rate for most investors, they have prime, sometimes it's 1.5. So let's just say probably 8% for that. And so we'll put that here. So then this is where you're actually putting your information. Then you'll send the information, then it opens it up. All right. Now this here is going to show your monthly breakdown. So based on the rent, like I said, we can be able to pull it. It's going to calculate your mortgage based on 8. And then it's going to show your property taxes and show your property insurance. So this property is going to cash flow $1,200, just how it stands. Now, the beautiful thing about this, and we'll take this later, like you can be able to see more details. One of the things about how this is broken down here at the bottom, so loan to value is, bank is never going to give you 100% financing, right? So they're only going to give you a percentage. Now, most of the time, these breakdowns is going to, that's basically saying, so if 75%, then I mean, you need to at least be able to bring 25% down. And you say, well, where'd I get that from? So it's a little confusing, but just keep it simple. That means the loan value is going to be $494, $250. And so the difference between that is, so let's just say you got 659, so you need 164, 750. So that's what you need down on 25%. That seems like a lot, right? And also, if you go over here to the 85%, which is we all like, the banks, depending on who you bank with, you need 98,000. So you can have one of the two and get 98,000 on this. Now, one of the things this is supposed to show you is a breakdown of how much money you will receive back. Because one of the ways we've used this calculator is it's an improvement loan. So if you're going to buy something, you can make improvement, like what's your part? Why would I put $5,000? It's just an example. And, as you guys see this recap, maybe you say, I want a better example. And that's perfectly fine. But this is the part that's missing, and it was actually there earlier this week. So it's some playing around I need to do with it, but you can see it even cash flows at that. Now you have to put X amount of dollars down how it shows, but what it's supposed to show you is, hey, if I'm buying this property and evaluated at this much, then on the back end I can be able to get a certain amount of money to make the repair. So you can even do this with lower properties. So let's say you're trying to buy a property and let's say it needed $15,000 in work, and like I said, this is just a quick snippet, but you can see, well, obviously the rents probably won't be that high, or when you're tracking your cash flow, your ROI, so return on, look at that, return on cash is, if you can find a property that you can buy for $40,000, need $15,000 in improvements, go for it. Now, most of the time you buy a property that low, depending on where you're at and what state you're located, it needs a lot of work. And maybe this is like a new construction loan that you have to do. And you're like, all right, we're actually going to take 120 to be able to build this. Let me calculate that. So if, say for instance, I bought a new construction property and I bought the land for 40,000, and then I'm financing, total investment is 159, and my cash flow is going to be 25. I mean, my rent's going to be 2,500. So I got my taxes, insurance, my cash on cash return is 34.4. So you can be able to get a good return on that. It's better than the stock market, right? So it's important to understand your ROI and the comps. That's the part that this comes in here. I would say for Bryan-College Station, it is a little hard to be able to know what areas you are in. So this is really going to be just like a snapshot or an idea of what you could get. And that's why I tell you, reach out to me and make sure we know what area you're looking at, and specifically what are the details we can do to make sure we give you the right insight. And based on my experience, literally this is how we got to the 20 properties. And I believe even as we went down, I'm still going to use this. Like this house that I'm sitting in right now in Bryan-College Station is how we use this. We use this exact formula to be able to acquire this. And so if you ever want to know more about my coaching and specifically how we got there, you can be able to reach out to us, or make sure you book a time below in the link at the bottom, and we can kind of jump into that a little bit more. In today's focus, I want to make sure we are thinking through, hey, all right, what's the game plan for 2026? You know, we're at the beginning of December, but what I've noticed, like even in my business, and this is the time to reflect. This month is generally a time for you to say, all right, what worked, what did not work, right? Because the whole hope and goal for Cash Flow Friday is to build financial clarity, confidence, and cash flow. That means Friday, you want to get to a point where you cash flow. So I'm going to share with you one of the things that we are doing in our business to continue to get multiple another streams of income. And they come with education. So hear me out when I say this. Regardless of what you're going to do, where you're going to buy your first house, buy your 5th investment, buy your 20th investment, buy your apartment building, you want to flip a property, you want to start a business, anything that you do is going to require not only for you to have clarity on what to do, but the confidence, so therefore you can get the cash flow. Because here's the thing, cash flow literally is a game where it requires every bit of you mentally and emotionally. I do want to tell you this story, man. This one thing, I was walking and I seen a husband, and he recognized me, and he even say nothing. And it took me a minute to realize who he was, because all the time when people see you on Facebook, like you see me, but I don't see you, right? Like when someone see you online, and so sometimes it take you a minute to be like, oh yeah. So anyways, man, I seen the heart and the intentionality behind this man just wanting to do better. Sometimes, he was living in a place, I think like the place was not, the rent that he paying, they not taking care of it, and they treat him like trash. And man, I just seen a hurt in his eyes, and I seen the want to continue to do better. And then kids was in the back yelling, and it's like, I've been there. We all go through that season. We all go through that hard season. Sometimes you may be going through it now. It's levels of hards, by the way. Like every hard is a hard season in any and everything, because it's supposed to produce something inside of you that makes you better. So anyways, when I think about, helping families and making smarter financial decisions, and replace the confusion, your legacy begin where your excuses, and you hear me say that all the time. And so one thing I just want to encourage you guys is take action. Take actions. Wherever wealth look like to you, whether that's a couple thousand in the bank, whether that's a couple thousand coming in monthly, whether that's a couple thousand coming in weekly, or whether that's a couple thousand coming in an hour, you have to give attention to it. Nothing comes big by you not being diligent in what you're doing. And so, this is, if you looking to hit the lottery and, have that lottery mentality, my biggest thing is this. I want you to win in life, but I want you to have the right mindset to sustain the growth that you have. Because the thing is like, we can get everything we have, but being able to pass it down to the family, that's the issue. Like, how can you be able to do this? So it's the tiny decisions and make those major financial impacts. So your routine creates stability. Man, my wife reminds me of this every week. Like, the routine that you keep. And what I am an advocate of is, how well you lead at home is how well you lead in your business, how well you lead other people, right? Because you got to be able to be aware of, hey, what are the things that you need to get better at? And then how do you do that? And it starts at home. And it also starts when the small routine things that you're aware of when you're not aware of, all right? Because if you try to ignore that, I promise you, it will not last long. One of the movies that I recently just watched and just kind of talk about the weekly financial statement adjustment that we made this week. And why year end 2015 matters, because you have to reflect on what went well and what didn't go well. And if it's going great, how do you multiply that? How do you get better at it? And I wanted to talk about the Big Short strategy. And so the Big Short strategy, I think, is a great reminder of our market and economy, because here's the thing that I want you guys to be aware of. We just got out of a government shutdown that was the longest that it's ever been. We had the news flashes of, hey, is this going to affect SNAP? This is going to affect all the different things. But now that that's no longer been talked about, we still need to be aware of, like, what is happening to money and what is going on around us that we have to be more hyper focused about when it comes to the things that is going on, so that from a macro level, so that you can understand micro, what are the things why you need to take action now. And like, this has nothing to do with, oh, I want you to buy or invest in us, or I want you to do. Now, if that's what you call to do, then do that. And do it with somebody else if not. But because here's the reality, like, I notice when I open my eyes and I become wiser with how I use my time, my energy, my effort, because listen, shout out to be celebrating 38 next week. You only have a certain amount of time to do the things you're going to do. Your voice is only relevant at a certain time of life. And it is for your life or your whole life, and how you use it is important. And The Big Short is just a movie, and it's to talk about the 2008 crisis of real estate. And being in real estate, like, I'm always learning, like, hey, what are the things that I need to be aware of? What is going on? Is it similar? If it's not, how can I be able to distinguish the two? Because the biggest thing that I want people to realize is that you can't allow what's on your phone and what's on your feed to be able to be the main thing that guides you on what you do and what you don't do. Because I promise you one thing, you cannot and you will not be able to make it by always looking at what is on the news. I just want you to think for a second, is like today's market, we may have a rate cut, potentially rate cut, right? So next week, the Fed is supposed to have another rate cut. Now, here's a question, like, you need to ask yourself, who pay attention to rate cuts? If you don't, that's an indicator that you need to start growing more about your financial surroundings and what is going on. Because if you like, oh man, like Christmas and Christmas parties, like, yeah, that's cool. Like, we got a Christmas party this Sunday, and then we also have a customer appreciation day next Friday. And then, hey, if you don't celebrate, okay, cool. You still got to live, right? You still got to be able to provide and, put food on the table. And so if you're not paying attention to the things that's going on, especially around this time of the year, when everybody's starting to think about holiday season things, like, what are the things you need to shift and why do you need to do that, okay? What if I told you across the street from Texas A&M, if you made an investment of $44,000, you could make an additional $29,000 on this property and still be under $500,000? Okay, so here's what happened. So this property, as we're about to get ready to walk through it, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about the acquisition and some of the improvements. Now, this is an older home that's right across the street from campus. So this house had multiple offers when they actually bought it. So here's the thing. This is the 3-bedroom, 2-bath. The sales price ended up going for right at $430,000. And when you have multiple offers, something like this, the question is as an investment in the Bryan-College Station area, you want something that's right across the street. So this has been completely renovated and was currently on a short-term rental plan. So you can be able to see this room completely painted, already have the furniture that goes along with it. So that's super important, because when you're looking at these type of investments, it's going to have history and booking with it. So number one key factor of why this has multiple offers is that right across the street from campus. And then two, the average booking was $259 a night. So imagine, before improvement, before anything, you're already making $259 when someone is booking this actual spot. And then the third factor is, as a real estate professional, it's my job to always understand the opportunities that exist in these type of properties. And so you could miss out on so much because you don't understand proximity or what the actual rents or nightly rates are for something here in the Bryan-College Station area. And then working with a real estate professional that can point these opportunities out to you before they can even come on market can save you time, and sometimes can save you money. All right. Okay. So it's important to understand why location matters, because in College Station, you have this 1 mile proximity. The closer you are to campus, proximity to, let's face it, Texas A&M have a stadium, Cal Field, that holds over 100 plus on game day. So I have some numbers that I want you to understand when it comes to the short-term rental and how it would apply to this specific house. So the standard College Station short-term rental range anywhere from $95 to $200 a night. Properties with sport amenities would range from $300 to $500 a night. So game day premiums up to $4,000 a night. So let's face it, you got Alabama, you have the LSUs, the Auburns, they're in the SEC. So you're going to attract very big schools and sometimes people who are just not in the SEC. But then you're going to have big rivals like University of Texas when they come into play. So here's the kicker. For properties in College Station, this before any improvement. But here's the kicker. With the properties in College Stations, bookings of $500 plus consistently we're having some sport amenities. And that's why investing in this deal was huge. Now that we've talked about what it could make before improvements, we got a chance to look at the improvements. Now let's kind of talk more through specific numbers. So before, as I said, you have nightly rate around that $259 a night. Now that's depending on whenever it is booked. All right. Now, after fees from a short-term rental perspective, that's around $6,200 roughly. So that means annual income, you would make $74,000 on this investment. Now, hey, just a small indicator. This was already making $85,000 short-term rental. So let's just say that's a very, very safe conservative number, okay? After we make this investment of $44,000, then your new nightly rate could go anywhere from minimum $350 up to $360. That's a 40% increase just off the $259. Now, your monthly income, $8,600, will get you to an annual of $103,000. So that's $28,000 of improvements in your income just by making that $44,000 investment. So let's think about this. Your payback period is probably 18 months, and then after that, year two is just pure profit. So here's the reality. And here's the big picture that I think I want you guys to really understand. When it comes to finding premium assets like this, it's not going to look like this from the front end. You have to have a good team, come the property manager, contractor, and your agent and real estate professional like myself to be able to help you identify these opportunities. All right. What are the things that we want to take away from this? Number one, location trumps everything. Across the street, or generally what they say the 1 mile radius versus 5 miles can make the difference of $200 when it comes to your investment. Number two, understanding this Texas A&M unique market. Here's the thing, from this neighborhood to the next neighborhood, even some of the districts for like College Station and Bryan, if you cross over, what's the difference? Can I have a short-term rental over here? Can I have 4 people? Is it basically 2? It's so many specifics that you can get so lost in when you don't know. But then also, how does it apply to what you want to do when it comes to the investment side? Listen, think for your customer. In this case, this is a short-term rental. So what experiences do you want to create? It's easy just to put beds in here, but what can you do to be able to stand out so that people who book you will come again? Because let's face it, football season come every year. The rental income, let's go. You increase your income, but then the appreciation on the property, you now raise the value. And hey, guess what? You have tax benefits that's going to help you from an overall on your income. And that was one of the reasons for the investors and why they invested in this. Common mistakes. Number one is focusing only the purchase price. When you see this at $430, you say, is this a good deal or is it not? And maybe you do just look at the long-term rentals. How do you make sure that this is a good deal for you and negotiating is going to be in your benefit? Number two, understanding the power of the unique amenities. Let's face it, this year will be a sports court. And why understanding the difference of sport court and not can make all the difference with you making more and not making anything, and not understanding the local market demand. That is a mistake that as investors that if you don't know, if you don't understand, face it, you will get in a spot where you always are going to overlook opportunities, even if I send them, because you don't understand a lot of the specifics. And skipping market research. This market constantly is changing when it comes from neighborhood, when it comes to your nightly rates, and sometimes it can change weekly due to the schedules of whatever's going on for Texas A&M. So if you're ready to start investing in Bryan-College Station, here's what I want to do. I want to send you properties just like this kind, but then also free resource is down below. I want you to download our calculator that me and my wife use, who's now overseeing the management of this property. And we built up to 20 rental properties, roughly over $2 million and roughly over $2 million in real estate. And this calculator is going to show you how to use improvements on the property so that you can get the max return and sometimes be able to save the dollars out of your pocket. Now, if you want to learn my complete system, I'm accepting serious coaching clients, and I want you to get a chance to book below so I can show you how to analyze these deals from beginning to end so that you can do it for yourself and give you access to our contractors, property managers, and some of the data that's going to help you identify these things for yourself so you maybe just understand how we operate. So, and if you're moving here, then you see why investments here in the Bryan-College Station is golden, and you don't want to miss out on opportunities that are here. Whether you invest in 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, or close to $1 million, I'm thankful that you stayed and take a look at this video. And listen how we now found you opportunities and what the opportunities are here in the Bryan-College Station area. So make sure you tune in next week as we will continue to jump into investing to help you understand the opportunity that's here in the Bryan-College Station area. And I'll see you in the next video.